To me, that is the most important thing. Honestly, if you have that type of relationship with a driver that he can trust you and you can trust that, the driver, to me, that means so much more than anything else. Being able to work together as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, and I completely believe in that. And being able to have somebody that can trust you and know that you're gonna pick the best load for him, and knowing that the driver's gonna be responsible with the load means more than $1 million. To build a long relationship between a driver and a dispatcher, it takes time. Of course, as I keep stating, it takes trust, but it also takes the will to be able to get to know the person, not just as the truck driver. Um, you have to be able to get to know the person, and sometimes in a personal way. I understand that me doing this for a little bit, over 5 years. Drivers go through a lot, especially at home from being away and things that happen. And if you're just a dispatcher with a cold heart that don't understand, certain needs, you will never be able to build that relationship beyond that base. And I truly believe it. It's a mutual respect. It's a line that shouldn't be crossed, but we should also take care of the drivers and know their needs and things that they go through as a human being. What I really do like about this industry is that it's never a dull moment. You get to meet new people. There are, of course, like any job, obstacles that will come, but it's always how we are able to create a relationship between the dispatcher and the driver, to be able to help him with his needs and help him with anything that happens, and it becomes a closer bond, and it becomes something that I look always forward to being able to help a driver and guide him in the loads that he has to, that he receives. In my opinion, for a driver to be able to reach a successful level, is for them to understand the hours of service, and most important, for them to be safe, for them to understand what it is to have safe equipment, and for the equipment to be able to run it a proper way. And to me, that's one of the most important things, that with knowing their logs and safety, because a driver who's safe in the road, it always creates a great thing. Less stress, less worry, and it becomes more reliable. What I would like to say to all drivers is that in this industry, sometimes it becomes hard and it becomes good. And I always say that for drivers, a very important thing that I always tell them is to trust the dispatcher, to be able to create a not a friendship but a trust, so that it can become an easy process. I know a lot of times drivers have been lied to by brokers or by dispatchers themselves, and it's always a conflict that sometimes happens. But if you learn to kind of hear the dispatcher, and as well as the dispatcher hearing the driver, it can become a great bond, to not only make money but to be able to have a safe environment. In my opinion, the best strategy is to be able to first, foremost, to make sure that the driver's happy with the load, that it's according to what he likes and what he don't like, but to also place them at the right places at the right time, according to the seasons, according to where the good lows are. The best areas all depends on the seasons. Sometimes West Coast is very good, very heavy, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes, depending on where the produce is, if there's produce out of Florida or Michigan or North Carolina, a lot of times we can get good loads out of there because there's so many reefers that are coming in that nobody wants to do dry. So you're able to get more money out of the brokers, and you're able to have more success. Every driver for me should know their hours of service, and what it is to have an equipment, or an equipment that is properly maintenance, and tires are all their tires are at the proper pressure, and little things like this that creates a easier way for the driver to get to his delivery. And to me, it's safety. Safety is the most important thing. A driver can always drive, but if the equipment is not maintenance the proper way, we're gonna have breakdowns, we're gonna have issues, and that creates becoming late, and it just keeps building up. It's like an avalanche. So the first tip, and it was just the way that I was trained, for somebody to become a dispatcher is to first do track and tracing. The reason why I strongly believe in that is because track and tracing helps you know the cities, know the hours, know also where the good loads are and where the bad loads are. Knowing also how to be able to get to know the drivers, speak to them, and track and tracing to me is also very important because it teaches you, not just to call the driver and be like, "Hey, where you at? What you doing?" But to be like, "Hey, sir, how you doing? Is everything okay?" And I just, sorry to bother you. I just like to know what location you're in. It creates a way of a person to talk to a driver, and that's the beginnings for me. Being able to just do the in and out calls. Being able to talk to the drivers and be able to send the emails to, the brokers and let them know where they're at so that he can learn the system. And to me that's just the difference between a good dispatcher and a bad dispatcher. Um, I truly strongly believe that it has to do with how the difference between a dispatcher who not only cares for making the most money for the truck driver, which is the main purpose, but also to look at certain needs that a driver may have or needs. There are drivers that I've taken care of that they can't go to high mountain places because of the oxygen level. And you have to know those things. You have to know the driver in a personal, not too personal, but in a personal way to understand what he likes and what he don't like. Especially depending on how you speak to them too. To me, the way that you speak to a driver should also always be with respect. So, being able to communicate is a great dispatcher. Being able to be open and know the needs of a driver is very important. A bad dispatcher is someone who doesn't care. Doesn't care where he sends the truck. Doesn't speak to him or communicate, or doesn't have no type of a sense of direction. I believe that that's definitely a bad dispatcher. So, what I would like to add in the end is that you know, being in this industry, I know that there's a lot of options everywhere. I always, say to always look at, what's best for you and what place can find you the most, money and what's going to be convenient for you. And to me, that's very important because at the end of the day, if a driver's not happy, I always believe this 100%. If a driver's not happy, you're always going to hear the driver complain. Drivers are going to constantly leave. And no, the most important thing is to try to make the driver happy, but the driver also has to know that they are, not everything can be catered to them. So it has to be an open, trustworthy relationship to understand that you're not always going to get what you want, but you have to work in the good and in the bad.